Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Hopefully you guys are being safe out there. I know the snow is crazy. Our neighborhood trying to get here earlier today. I barely made it out of my neighborhood. Once I got on the main streets, it was a lot better. But anyway, kind of disrupted my harmony, if you will. So welcome to my success. My name is Kim Martin, and I'm the founder of I've Decided. I'm flying solo today, and usually we have a guest with us, but with the weather and, not everybody wants to get out in this stuff. I'm here today with you, just me and myself and I. So I'm excited to talk with you today and share, do a little deeper dive into our weekly winning word, harmony. And as I was talking about the snow, that's kind of, for those of you that love the snow, I guess it doesn't bother your harmony. It's in harmony with what you love. But for those of you like myself who aren't so crazy about the snow, as most of you know, I'm a Southern girl. So I would much rather have my toes in the sand than my toes in the snow. So the sand is a little more in harmony with what I like. But if you like the snow, then you're probably in your happy place this week. So anyway, for our members out there, you got your weekly winning resource. And in it, we had the article, and I printed out the article, 5 secret ingredients to living in harmony. And we kind of shared those with you. But I thought today, what I had on my heart was, okay, so we know the secret ingredients to living in harmony. We know what those are based on what we put in our article in the weekly winning resource that you receive every Sunday. But I was thinking today about, the bad notes. I love one of our quotes this week. It says that, harmony doesn't happen when everybody sings the same note. Harmony happens, when you've got people singing different notes that make a beautiful noise. And that is so true. And so as I was thinking about like harmony, and I got a vision of like a choir, and I don't know, I started thinking about someone like myself who can't sing very well, who shows up at the choir, maybe a little tone deaf, or we're not an alto, we're not a soprano, we're not any of those things. We don't have great harmony. So we disrupt the choir. So I started kind of thinking about that when it comes to our internal harmony, because living in harmony on the outside really starts with harmony on the inside, right? So we need to have harmony inside of us, that peace and harmony, in order to relate it outside, in order to have harmony at work, harmony with our family, harmony with anyone that we come into communication with. It all starts with that internal harmony. And so I was like, what are those bad notes that disrupt our harmony, that disrupt that internal harmony that's happening inside of us? And as I think about what harmony means, right? Harmony is when your thoughts, your words, and your deeds are all in accord with one another. So what you say and what you do matches your thoughts, matches your heart. What you're doing, what you should do, what you should be doing. And harmony comes from that. But there are some disruptors. There are some bad notes that disrupt our harmony. So I wanted to share 4 bad notes with you today that could be disrupting your internal harmony. And I'd love for you to post some comments in this podcast and share what your thoughts are as I go through some of these and how it impacts your life, and if you can relate to some of these bad notes the way that I can. So as I was thinking about that bad note, someone like myself that can't carry a tune in the bucket, I thought, what are they? Well, one would be your influencers. A bad influence someone who's giving you bad advice, if you will. And I think about the people we hang around. I think about who we seek for wisdom. I think about who we're comparing ourselves to, right? It's all relative. Depending on what you're comparing yourself to kind of determines what you think is good or not good, or at a level of excellence or not a level of excellence. It really just depends. So who are your influencers? Where are you seeking your advice? It's human nature, I think, to when you're going through something, you actually seek to be with someone who's going to make you feel better about that experience. If you're going through let's say if you're going through a divorce in your life or a separation, you typically aren't going to seek out people who are going to give you that advice of make your marriage work, stick with it, go to counseling, it's worth the fight. You typically, if you want out, if you want to leave, you're going to seek people who are saying, this is what you should do. You're going to seek out those people that are giving you the advice that you really want to hear. Not necessarily the advice that you should hear, but the advice that you want to hear. You know, I found myself in that situation many times in my life when I'm doing something that maybe I shouldn't be doing, or I just know in my heart it's not the right thing. I'm still looking for someone to say, oh, no, it's not too bad. You should do that. Yeah, go into debt and buy that new expensive car, or, take the risk. So just finding someone who tells you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. That could be a bad note that we want to watch out for. So who are you seeking advice from? Who are you listening to? Who are your influencers? Who are you hanging around with? You want to make sure that they're in harmony with what it is that you should be doing. Not necessarily what you want to do, right? Sometimes what we want to do is in discord with what we should be doing. So I think that's a bad note that we got to really watch out for. Secondly, focusing on our weakness. I think about a choir. I think about harmony. I think about the sopranos, and I think about the altos. If an alto tries to be a soprano or a soprano tries to be an alto, it's not going to work. They have to focus on their strengths in order to make a beautiful melody. And that's what we have to do in our lives. We have to focus on what we're good at and not get caught up in what we're not good at. And I think it's another human nature. For whatever reason, we tend to focus on the negative parts of us, the things that are not so good, or the things that we're not so great at. And we compare that to other people who are good in the things that we're not good at. And that's a big mistake. And I really think that's a bad note that steals our inner peace. It's kind of that comparison, if you will. But we want to focus on our strengths. What do you bring to the table? That's what you want to focus on. What is it that you're good at? What do you bring to the table? I think of one of our members, Jen Haney, and she's a Strength Finders coach. And so she does these Gallup assessments where you determine what your strengths are. And really the science behind that is so strong in that you gotta put all your energy and focus everything on what you're good at. And the things that you're not good at, you don't want to spend your energy there. Let somebody else do that who's good at it. And I think that's so important. But I think a big mistake that a lot of us make is that we tend to want to work on our weaknesses. We tend to want to improve those weaknesses, so we spend our energy in the wrong place. And it really messes up our inner harmony. It's a bad note that you need to watch out for. And, this is a good one. How about this? Waiting on things to get back to normal. I can't tell you how many times I hear, probably 10 times a day, someone says, when things get back to normal. That's a bad note, okay? Things aren't going to, let's not think when things get back to normal. How about when, instead of things get back to normal, how about let's get things back to better? Normal is what it is today. Today, there's a new normal. Getting back to normal really is living in the past. It's believing that we can go back to exactly the way things were. And that's really impossible to consider that, because we've been through disruption. We've had to live through probably one of the worst years as a whole, as a world, in my lifetime and in many of your lifetimes. I mean, probably if you're a little bit older, you've experienced a few more rough seasons in your life. But for me, this probably was one of those years that's going to stand out forever. And so to think that we can just go back to normal, that once we get through this, everything's going to go back to normal, I think that's a bad note. And it can steal our inner harmony, because ultimately, it's not about getting back to normal. It's about getting back to better. And normal is what's happened. This is the normal. I think about the virtual aspects of things, Zoom meetings and virtual conferences, and everything really has converted over to virtual. And a lot of people, you hear the virtual burnout. They don't want to do a Zoom meeting. And honestly, I think that's just kind of fighting the change. It's fighting the new normal. It's causing disruption and disharmony. Instead of just embracing the beauty of it, I love having in-person meetings, and I do believe that we're going to get back to some fun in-person events, and that's going to somewhat get back to normal. But the virtual events aren't going to go away. They're only going to get better. Actually, the technology is getting better. Companies are coming out with already innovative software that's making these virtual events feel as in person as you can ever believe. So it's quite amazing. So I think fighting that change when we go through disruptions in our life, when we go through a season, maybe a bad season in our life, and our mind starts to play that trick on us, that when things get back to normal. So if you hear yourself saying that often, really, do just think on that for a minute. And what do you mean? What are you really saying when you go, when things get back to normal? What are you really trying to say? Of course, we miss the way things were, and we mourn the fact that it's never going to be the same as it was before. But let's not focus on getting back to normal. Let's focus on getting back to better. Okay, that's going to help us with our harmonies. I think that whole concept of when things get back to normal is a bad note. That can really get us off key in our internal harmony. And then finally, I think the bad note, I should say last but not least, this is the fourth one, is rejection, or, taking something personal. So I think about rejection, and for me, that's a tough one, because, I love people, and I'm a people pleaser by nature. I work towards, making sure, as long as I know I'm doing the right thing, that I don't overthink what people are thinking. But it takes work, because my natural personality just kind of tends to be a more people pleasing style, or just innate of who I am, because I love people, and I want them to love me back. And I know a lot of you are the same way. And so when we experience rejection, it can take us aback. It can knock you down. Feels like you got the wind knocked out of you. And then you start internalizing it. You start thinking things like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Why didn't they like me? And you start reliving every second of every conversation, of every experience, of whatever it is that you had in relationship with, whether it's a personal or business, work related, you know what I'm talking about, right? You start reliving every conversation to catch yourself in a mistake that you made or something that you said that could have been offensive to someone. And, I just think that, rejection and taking it so personal, internalizing it is a bad note, that we need to be really careful that we don't let get into our internal choir, our internal harmony. Most of the time when you experience rejection, well, I wouldn't even say most of the time, I would say almost all of the time, when you experience rejection, it's not personal. It's not about you at all. In fact, it's probably as far from being about you as you could ever even imagine. It's usually something that's going on within that person or that organization. And it's almost always something that you're not thinking. I don't know. I like to use curves as an example because obviously as a membership in a fitness world, we have members come and go, come and go, come and go. And no one really ever, in my 25-year career of owning a curves, I actually have never, ever once had a member walk in and say, you know what, I want to cancel my membership because I am just lazy. I cannot stand working out. I do not want to exercise anymore. I just am going to sit on the couch and eat bonbons. So I'm going to cancel my membership. That has never happened ever. What happens usually is they come in and they say they want to cancel because they don't like our hours or they don't have time. They're busy. Their schedule's changed. Our hours need to improve. Those are typically the things that they use because nobody wants to take responsibility. It's just human nature. It's nothing wrong with it. There's no judgment. We all do it. I do it. But I'm just using that as an example. And so when you experience rejection, usually the reason that they're giving you, they're not meaning to lie to you. They're not intentionally lying to you. They're trying to protect you really or protect themselves. But almost always what a person says isn't what they're really saying. And you guys know that, right? So we internalize that rejection. It messes up our harmony, our internal harmony. It's a bad note. And we got to stop doing that. We got to let it go and not take it personal. So those are the thoughts that came to me as I was considering harmony and talking to you guys about harmony today. I was actually planning on just kind of going through the article with you and doing a deep dive on that, but I felt like God just laid it on my heart to share the bad notes, the things that are disrupting our internal harmony. And real quick, once again, just to go through what those 4 bad notes are, bad advice. Somebody is giving you bad advice, who you're hanging around with, who's influencing you. Be careful with that. That could be a bad note. Focusing on your weakness instead of your strengths. Bad note. You have to focus on what you're good at. There are things that you can do that no one else can do but you. So you want to make sure you focus on that. What are your strengths? What do you bring to the table? We all have weaknesses. We don't want to worry about that. Waiting on things to get back to normal. We got to stop waiting on things to get back to normal. They're not going to get back to normal. This is the normal. They're going to continue to improve. We're going to get back to better. That's what we're going to do, get back to better. So when you catch yourself saying, I can't wait for things to get back to normal, that's really could be disrupting your harmony. So be careful with that. And then last but not least is that rejection, internalizing and personalizing when it's time for someone to move on or do something different in their life. It's not about you. It's about them. And we have to let that go. So I hope those were helpful for you and that you can be aware of what those bad notes are, because harmony that peace and harmony really truly is where happiness and joy lies. When you can be comfortable with yourself, when you are in harmony on the inside, then you can exude harmony to the rest of the world. It's impossible to exude harmony if you're not internally at peace. If you're not having that internal harmony happening, it is impossible to exude that to the rest of the world. And so we just want to be cautious of those bad notes that are disrupting our internal harmony, so that we can set the example of what we want to see in the world, so that we can be that example. Okay. So I can't believe how fast 20 minutes goes. I was a little concerned of being alone today, but it just flew by. Imagine that. I've always been told that I could talk to a wall, but anyway, hopefully I'm not talking to a wall. Hopefully there are a lot of you out there in the Facebook world, on YouTube, and within our I've Decided community who are watching this episode of My Success. And we come every third Tuesday of the month at Widecast Studio. We're live down at Widecast Studio. And I want to just thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank you if you are a member of I've Decided and a part of I've Decided. I want to thank you for being a part of our community. We love having you. Our mission is your success. We want to help you achieve those goals and dreams that you desire to achieve, and get you where you want to be. If you haven't joined our community, I want to invite you to do that now at I'veDecided.org. You can get more information or visit us at I'veDecided.org. All right, you guys be safe out there. Stay warm, drive safe, and till next time, we'll see you soon.